Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. Ladies and gentlemen, the gang are back. We have reconvened on this wonderful, chilly day in Edmonton, Alberta. Wherever you are, I hope it's either warm or cold. If it's cold, stay warm. If it's warm, cool yourself off somehow. Anyways, we are back and we are going to be talking ranking the albums on a certain artist by the name of Sade, formed in 1982 in London, England, fronted by one Sade Adu, a Nigerian-born singer, songwriter. They have released six albums to date. Last album being 2010's Soldier of Love, signed Epic Records upon forming in 1982. Uh, Pretty much from the release of their debut album Diamond Life in 1984. Uh, and I'll shut up in a minute, guys. In my very humble opinion, she could do no wrong in terms of her output. And we were just talking about just before taping that. Well, I mentioned that being a new artist, you would think that in terms of signing a contract and releasing albums and singles, that being a new artist, you would want to, you know, keep up in the public eye and release album year after year. Sade didn't do that. She has only released six albums, and there have been wide gaps between the album releases. So guys,
Yes.
yes, Ken and Jim, how was this list for you?
The list was good. The list was like a revisit with an old friend musically that I hadn't hung out with in quite a while. And there were times where I'm like, dang, I need to do this more often. And there's times where it's like, yeah, all right, maybe I'm tired of this,
Okay,
but we'll get there.
really, really,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Um, just to, you know, just to let you know who was in the band over the years. You have Sade Adu on lead vocals, Paul Denman on bass, fantastic bass player, Andrew Hale on synth and piano, and Stuart Matthewman on sax and guitars. Now, Stuart Matthewman has also worked with other R&B soul artists such as Maxwell in the past. And again, we have put these albums in some kind of an order to bring to you. And we're gonna just, jump right into it. So I'm gonna pass the virtual mic over to Ken, and we're gonna start off our ranking. Ken, hit it.
Okay.
Take it away.
My number six is Soldier of Love from 2010. So it was interesting. This is, of course, the final album. They started bringing in a little bit of synthesizer in this and using that. No saxophone. Um, and to me, starting with the previous release, Lovers Rock from 2000, uh, they changed their style. And for me, Soldier of Love in particular is this is for a different generation, than originally. For me, that's the way it seems to me.
Okay.
Um, Honestly, listening to this album was a slog. Um,
Really?
yeah,
Ooh.
um, yeah. I just couldn't. Uh, Other than the tone of her voice, I felt the songs, the arrangements, it just felt like a completely different artist for me. It felt like it felt like the first decade of the 2000s, which in general usually doesn't hold a lot for me. So that's what I'm saying. This is an album that feels like it's for a different generation, for a younger generation. Whether that was their intention or not, I don't know. Um, but overall, I feel that what they established in the 80s, um, it was not able to be sustainable. We talk about artists that change um, throughout their careers, and say, well, it's either change or die, and they did. They just didn't change in the direction that parallels with my taste. So my number six, Soldier of Love.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Jim.
My number six is one that Ken mentioned, though it's not Soldier of Love. My number six is Lover's Rock from 2000. Um, So yeah, Ken, there's a lot of things that you kind of touched on about, the change of the century, the production techniques changing, Sade sound sort of more evolving with the time. And, frankly, I just found all of Lovers Rock to be, well, not all of it. I found most of it to be antiseptic and bland. There was nothing that really kind of leapt out to me, with the exception of like three songs. What I've been doing lately is kind of listening to these albums and kind of giving them like a ranking out of 10. And for me, the only songs that kind of ranked like 8.5 or higher from Lovers Rock would be King of Sorrow, The Sweetest Gift, and It's Only Love That Gets You Through.
Hmm.
I would put those on a Sade playlist and say, yeah, I could listen to these again. But overall, the whole tone of the album lacks that kind of soulful, jazzy, quasi bossa nova-ish warmth that really permeates like the first three records. Um, Obviously, they don't get stuck in that ghetto. Not everything sounds like it. It's Joao Gilberto. Um, but that's certainly one of the core elements, I think, of the Sade sound is that combination of soul and Latin. Um, and as they start to drift from that and get more into just the modern beats, it just kind of loses some of the charm. I think Lovers Rock suffers because of that. Having said that, though, those three tunes are really good. I'd playlist them on a Sade list, but elevate the album enough. There's so many ones that are, like 7 out of 10 or lower that it's just like meh. The album is not a swing and a miss. None of these albums are like horrible, but
No.
like Ken was saying, the later albums are definitely sound of their time, as opposed to the ones at the top of my list, which to me are just timeless because they don't seem anchored to a particular production technique. So anyway, that's why I put Lovers Rock at the bottom. For those who give a crap, it's 7.75 out of 10 for me.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to get shot for this. Um, my number six is Diamond Life.
Is
Um,
it now?
see, he's going to cock his gun. He's going to shoot me right through the screen.
Curious, yeah.
Um, good album. Good album. I mean, again, released in 84. I'm going to say this. Just because an album is on the bottom of the list doesn't mean it's a bad album. But
Hmm.
again, when you do these lists, these albums have to go somewhere, right?
Yep.
I just, I mean, obviously, Smooth Operator, Your Love is King, Hang On to Your Love, uh, you know, Frankie's First Affair. All these are like they're fantastic songs. I just think that for me, it's just
Yes.
it's just I mean, glamorous album cover aside, the photo of her, she looks like like a Marlene Dietrich character in a film, like very sort of 1930s, 40s
Yeah.
movie
Yep.
starlet, you know what I mean, with the blue tinted shot, right? Just this album for me. I mean, again, great sax playing, really nice fluid bass playing on all these tracks. Just wonderful. I just think for me, it's just this album was just when it came out, it was just so much in your face that it was just like at 14 years old, I really couldn't grasp it, in terms of, I'm again at that age, I'm looking for the immediacy of the hit. And I'm going to stop using the word immediacy, but just the hook that would grab me. And looking back on it, there is a sophistication to all these albums and a lushness and just a joie de vivre, let's say. Just
Mhm.
there's just something about these albums that are wonderful. But for me, this would not be the first one I go back to, or even the second or third. There's a reason why I describe her catalog as Casablanca and Technicolor, and these albums are why, all of them. But again, you have to put them in some kind of an order. So for me, number six is Diamond Life. You know,
It's funny that you kind of bring up the point about something being hooky. I mean, to me, there are very few things in 1984 that were as hooky as Smooth Operator. I mean, that tune was just it,
it was
it just
everywhere.
is hooked you in huge and it was hard to let go.
I mean, re-listening to it again, I was reminded of how good this album is, right?
Yep.
And a little side note, I used to go to a summer camp at the grade school in Toronto that I used to go to. And this summer, the head of the day camp, her husband used to be the president of Sony Music or CBS in Toronto. So she arranged it so that our group was taken on a tour of CBS records.
Wow.
So and this was Springsteen at his height with Born in the USA, and they gave us albums to take home, and Springsteen was one of them, but another one was a compilation of CBS artists. Sade just coming out with this was on it, and I would always skip over this song. I couldn't Smooth
Ah,
Operator. I could not
Okay.
get into it. But looking back on it, it's a wonderful song. All these songs are good, but again, for me, this album still has to grow on me. Like I have to get out of my 14-year-old
Yeah.
mindset
Fair enough.
and get into this again. And again, ladies and gentlemen, there is only coffee in the cup. I promise you, nothing stronger than that. But yeah, number six, Diamond Life for me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, moving on to number five.
Five.
Um, um, Probably seems kind of obvious, but my number five is Lovers Rock. Um, I agree with pretty much everything Jim said. Um, this was the first album with their new sound. Obviously, not as jazzy. And even though it came out 10 years before Soldier of Love, if I'm not mistaken, it still, as Jim says, sounds of its time. Um, Listening to it, and it's been so long since I listened to it, I had no memory of it whatsoever. That's how it struck me when I
Yeah.
heard
Hmm.
originally. But the opening track, By Your Side, is like, okay, we're in for something different here. And uh, I wasn't repelled by the opening track. It's like, no, okay,
a
well,
ringing endorsement.
I
however,
wasn't repelled. Okay.
Yeah.
however, that changed when I got to the second track.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's interesting, like I say, I marked only two songs off this album that I would put on a playlist, and they weren't, and neither one of them was on your list, Jim. So
Okay.
that's kind of cool. Um, but yeah, it's what I said before, pretty much. Just
Copy and paste.
not as much as Soldier of Love. But yeah, um, I think that these last two albums um, would would appeal to more contemporary aged listeners. Like I said,
Okay.
it's of its time that way.
Okay. All
Lovers
right.
Rock number
All right. Jim.
My number five is Soldier of Love. So copy and paste what Ken said for the most part. I'd give it the edge over Lovers Rock. I mean, I'm giving Soldier of Love like an 8 out of 10, mostly because of the strength of one ballad in particular, In Another Time. I just think that track is really, really wonderful. I think it's very rich, and frankly, the ballads on this album, work better than the other tracks on there. Long Hard Road, I also like. Be That Easy. But to me, In Another Time, just given that like a really, really strong 9 out of 10. But in general, it's getting deeper into techno. The production feels sterile. It's just boom, boom, boom. There's no swing going on. Sure, Sade sounds wonderful. A little more husky just because she's aged, but it's not like other artists who should have, hung up their singing a long time ago. I mean, she's still got the goods. But yeah, geez, that was 15 years ago. I mean, they're given the way that music is kind of changing a little bit now and things are becoming more um organic again. It would be interesting to see if Sade came back together, 15 years after Soldier of Love here, to see what they could do, that was new and compelling. But yeah, having Lovers Rock and Soldier of Love were just easy to kind of put at the bottom. Sterile, uh, not in my wheel bag, but not
Okay.
devoid of anything worthy. Like I said, the ballads on Soldier of Love work pretty darn well for me.
Okay. Well, we're gonna on here and go on to my number five. My number
bing bang
five
walla walla
is
bing bang. Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
That's right.
Uh, Walla Walla
Hamana,
Bing
hamana,
Bang.
hamana.
There we go. My number five is Lovers Rock. And just a little side note, the title of the album is based on a style of reggae music that's it's known as Lovers Rock. Again, when you put these lists together, excuse me, again, just because something is at the bottom of the list doesn't mean it's a bad album. I mean, again, good album. As I get my notes back on track here, it's one of those things, ladies and gentlemen. Album again produced by Sade and Mike Pella, who has produced majority of her albums. I like the album. By Your Side is a good single. King of Sorrows, another one. Nice, nice instrumentation with acoustic guitars. And what I like about these songs is, or these albums, especially the earlier ones, the sound is very organic. Very sort of just probably programmed, but it does sound to me like live instrumentation is going on, and just wonderfully recorded and arranged. Um, Again, sax galore on these albums, but again, one of the songs that stands out for me on Lovers Rock is Immigrant. And I'm hearing melody, counter melody on this piece. To my untrained ear, but I think it's just between the piano and acoustic guitar. Wonderful string swells on this and wonderful violin use on the track. But yeah, um, number five, maybe she, at that point, I was going to say something, no, but she's never been one to sort of follow the trends musically. Do you know what I mean? She's always been one that's always set her own course as to what she's going to do musically, i.e., the long gaps between album releases, right? So it's a great album. The title track is another good track on the album. Uh, Other songs of note for me, Slave Song. Uh, Somebody Already Broke My Heart. Nice organ on that. You know, it's just wonderful. But that's my number five. Always rock. Ken, you're number
Number
four.
four, number
Mm-hmm.
four, number four, Love Deluxe.
Quattro.
Numero
Sorry, I
cuatro.
stepped on you. It was Love
Yeah, I
Deluxe.
know. Love Deluxe, 1992. Um, this album, I thought it was very interesting. It feels very scaled back from the previous three albums. Um, it's got a little stronger guitar in here. Um, in re-listen to No Ordinary Love, I never noticed before the chugging electric guitar that's 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 in this. Maybe it's because I never really listened to it, with really good speakers or headphones or whatever, and
Could
it
be.
just gets lost, you know. Um, though that was very interesting because the sort of guitar is not something I associate with Sade. But anyway, I,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to interject real quickly. One thing that I love is that basically this is the same band throughout. It's not
Very
like
much.
you have a lead singer and then they use different musicians not only
Right.
for each album but even individual songs. They were very consistent as far as their band membership,
Yeah, I got
and
you. Yeah.
I think that formula worked very, very well. I thought they were really good in that, but yeah, that really kind of surprised me. Um, the other two songs that particularly stand out is "I Couldn't Love You More" and "Like a Tattoo." Um, this is still in their original um, style. You know, what, 9, 10 years later, something like that from the debut album, I think. But uh, but even then, there's always something in the top four albums that is very distinct for me as far as the sound and the production. And like I say, this one, this feels scaled back. The music has more breathing space in it, so yet still bringing in more guitar work, which there was very little, if none, at least on the first two albums. So as a guitar player, that really stands out. Um, but and these first four albums, what's particularly strong are the keyboards and the bass, um,
Yeah.
drums, obviously, and then your additional percussion of conga and stuff like that. But anyway, um, so yeah, Love Deluxe is my number four.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Jim.
My number four is their number one, Diamond Life, the debut from 1984. I'm giving it, like a strong 8.1 out of 10. And it's mostly because at this point, to me, they're kind of finding their way musically. They're developing their sound. It's a little thin on the production side. I think the later albums are a lot stronger in terms of how it sounds. And for me, that's part of the reasons why this album doesn't get higher on my list. Plus, I think the songs are, while they are good, and like I said earlier, Smooth Operator is just an earworm that just will not let you go. Um, I just think that there's kind of a lack of variety within the songs that to me are not as it just becomes more prevalent in my top three albums, whether it's differences from song to song or even like what's happening within the song itself. Um, I was wishing for, something different happening melodically or harmonically every once in a while. Um, Again, none of these songs are bad. I mean, 8.1 is a very solid listen. It's just that it's like once things get going with like Your Love Is King or Frankie's First Affair, Cherry Pie, I Will Be Your Friend, it's like okay, once the song gets going, it's like it stays in that lane all the way through. And I'm
Mhm.
wanting something with a little bit different timbre to kind of uh keep me engaged as a listener. But there's just no denying that, you know, I was going to say that nothing really sounded like Sade at the time, even though there are elements of like the new romantic movement that was infecting their sound, especially if you think about, Roxy Music's Avalon, um, Spandau Ballet, some of those bands that had horns and were kind of synth heavy. What Sade as a band brought to that table was just a bit more of that samba, a bit more of that Latin feel that um, was interjected in all their songs, and that I think elevated it. Plus the fact that Sade's voice was just, sm smooth as silk.
Yeah, like
Um,
velvet. Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. So I
yeah,
think those are a couple of things that made them rise above their contemporaries. But yeah, I also want to go back to what Ken was saying is that Sade is a band. It's Sade, Adu, and the three other dudes, and
yeah,
I kind of doff my hat to them that they've stayed a unit
yeah,
and they've really kind of honored that core of like, it's not Sade and like three other dudes. It is the four of us. And when we're going to make music, we're going to make it, together. Sade
yeah.
could have spun off on her own and made a gajillion dollars as a solo artist. But, again, I salute your integrity, Miss Adu.
Yeah, I think that adds strength to the band in the fact that they was pretty much the original members from the beginning in the band, and they view themselves as a collective, not just as Sade Adu fronting, three other musicians, and her name's up front, and it's like a Miss Ross kind of a thing. Nothing wrong with Miss Ross, you know, but I'm just saying. I hear what you're saying. Um, Thank you for that. My number four, Stronger Than Pride. Um, Great album again, uh, released in 1988. With songs Love is Stronger Than Pride, Paradise. I mean, and for Paradise, great, and I have in my notes, great bass, ass shaker. I had to say that, uh, although subtly done, very subtle, but still an ass shaker nonetheless. Great melody on that, a nice, uh, from what I hear, nice timbala accents on certain sections of the track, right? And just whether they're synthetic or not or organic, right? They're still there. It's still wonderful. Um, let's see if I go as I go through my notes here. Um, Nothing can come between us. Great guitar on that. There's a lot of good prevalent bass on all of these tracks and all these albums, in my very humble opinion. Other songs of note: "Turn My Back on You," "Clean Heart," "Give It Up," "I Never Thought I'd See the Day," and it ends with "Siempre Hay Esperanza," as I say that hopefully correctly. Um, it's a very solid album, very strong. And I think at this point, this was where she started to say, you know what, screw the hits. I'm just going to do what I want. And obviously, I have to present hits to the record company or I'm not going to get paid. But you know what? I'll do it my way, a la Sade kind of thing. Um, yeah, that's my number four, Stronger Than Pride.
Okay. My
Ken?
number three
Yes.
is Stronger Than Pride. Uh, um, I like the fact that she brings in um, male voice for some of the harmonies.
Yeah.
Broadens the palette a little bit.
Yeah,
It
his name
is,
escapes me though. His name
I
escapes me.
can't
Some
remember.
last
Um,
name is Osborne.
yes.
Osborne. Yeah.
He was on
Um,
the 85 tour, 80
Yeah.
or the 86 tour.
Yeah.
But
Forgive us.
anyway,
Forgive us. Okay.
more on that.
yeah, more on that.
Yes.
Um, it's, I felt that it's a little bit softer than the previous albums were. I don't want to sound like the first two albums were bombast by any means. But I've talked about some of
I
the
know
others,
what you're saying. I know what you're
yeah,
saying.
that are a lot more space in the sound. Um, um, the themes of these songs strike me as somewhat stoic, which was interesting considering the main theme throughout the vast majority of the Sade albums is revolves around love, relationships. Most there are some exceptions, obviously,
Mhm.
um, which made sense in the 80s. A lot of the pop music, that's what it was about. And even before the 80s, going back into the 40s and 30s. Um, but I agree with you, Armando. The bass work on this album is particularly amazing. Um, what was his name? Paul Denman. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Paul Denman.
Um, Particularly on the second track, Paradise.
Oh
That
yeah.
bass is
Oh,
absolutely relentless. Amazing.
a subtle
Um,
ass shaker if I ever heard one. I
yeah.
mean,
Oh, I don't think
geez.
there's anything subtle about it, brother. It's just,
But
it's
no, but it's
awesome.
but
Yeah, I know.
uh
Um,
mm,
yeah, it's just absolutely relentless. It's amazing.
mm,
In some
I need a
ways
cigarette.
reminds me of some of the works of Pretenders in the way it
Yep.
lays down that groove and just plows on through like a train.
Yeah.
Um, to me, the standout song on this album is "Nothing Can Come Between Us." Um, 88. I was 2 years out of undergraduate school,
I thought he was gonna say I'm two
and
years old, but no. I was like, no, it's like no.
yeah,
The 90s
so
were not kind to Ken. He
No.
aged rapidly.
yeah, um, I just was hearing this song everywhere, and it just really stuck the landing, for a third album.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think uh, I don't have many of the songs particularly highlighted on this because I think it's a pretty even paced album. I do particularly like the classical guitar on the track "Haunt Me." Um, that was really nice. This is the album that they started bringing in guitar, which I was pleased to hear again. So yeah, it's "Stronger Than Pride" from 1988. I think is a very strong album.
Okay.
But is
All
it
right.
stronger than dot dot dot?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ken. Jim, your number three.
My number three is Love Deluxe from 1992. And this was a surprise to me. I firmly thought that the the first three Sade albums would be in my top three, but no, there was I was really pleasantly surprised with Love Deluxe. It's a very rich kind of record. There's a lot of variety and textures and color. And yeah, I think Ken, you were pointing out how there's kind of a sparseness to Love Deluxe that separates it from, Stronger Than Pride. Um, and I think that works to its advantage. I mean, not every bit of audio needs to be filled with little audio knickknacks here and there. Not everything has to sound like "The Seeds of Love" by Tears for Fears. Not that there's anything wrong with that record, but sometimes
Good
sparseness will
save.
work to its advantage. That good save. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. There you
Um, you
go.
know, uh, Love Deluxe is just full of awesome songs. Cherish the Day to me is just 10 out of 10. Perfect. Absolutely perfect song. Uh, but that's not to throw shade on Like a Tattoo, Kiss of Life, Pearls, um, Bulletproof Soul. To me, those are all really good songs too. But um, to me, and Cherish the Day, if I recall, was one of the, if not the big single from this album. And there's, a reason for it. It's just
I do
it
believe,
it
yeah. Mm.
yeah, it doesn't quite have that solid of a groove as Paradise does, but it's sort of in that pocket. Even though it's a lot gentler of a song than Paradise. But yeah, I think Love Deluxe is a great album. I That was one that I did not give a lot of time to back in the day because of life, but I really enjoyed listening to it now. And
Mhm.
yeah, top three Sade record. And again, none of these are bad. I'm giving Love Deluxe like a 8.25 out of 10. And I stand by that. Gosh darn it.
98.26. Okay.
Nope.
All
Two
right.
five. Not two
Okay.
four. Not two
Not two
six.
three and not 27, but 25. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Before I give my number three, ladies and gentlemen and guys, I just wanted to say, look, to me, looking back on this discography, to me, Sade was always a band that was going musically against what was happening at the time, especially with the first three albums. I mean, musically in the 80s, you had, I mean, dance music galore, hairspray and mousse abound. It was just like the big hair, the shoulder pads, it's just, the dance clubs, whatever. And her output was just sort of like above the din of what was happening musically. So I've got to put that out there. Um, my number three, ladies and gentlemen, Soldier of Love. Start the hate mail now. Um,
Okay.
In 2010, yeah, right. Delete. It's to me, the, holy shit. The press and the hype for this album was intense at the time. It was really people were anticipating this release, and I think she just wanted to do an album of music that she wanted to do, programming or not. I mean, the the title track is a single. Wonderful use of trumpet on this, really dramatic elements. What I hear is regimented rhythm guitar, like really staccato guitar that comes in, and doing marching time fills on the drums. It's like just very unique from what she did before. Other songs of note for me on this album: Morning Bird with wonderful violin strings on this, gentle piano notes on this track as well. Baby Father, okay, program percussion aside, nice southern rhythm guitar on this. Long Hard Road on this album, just another fantastic piece of work. It is a good, solid album. It's unfortunate that it's her last album to date of new material. But again, as I said, she was never one to follow the routine of album tour, singles. We got to sell a bunch of product here. And the album ends off with, The Safest Place, 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Wonderful guitar on this, great acoustic guitar as well, and wonderful strings on this track. So that's my number three, Soldier of Love. Can you number two?
Number two, Diamond Life. Um,
Ooh,
1984.
curveball.
Just a little curveball.
Just a little.
Yes, a little bit.
Keep us on our toes, Ken.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, 84. you know, college years.
Oh God. Go on.
There was, yeah, there was no avoiding this album as a whole. Um, and it just cut quite a different swatch out of the music at the time. Uh, but to me, I'll disagree with Jim. To me, this is of its time. That doesn't mean it is worn out its welcome, though. To me, it's of its time because I was there, like the like the Lord of the Rings meme 5,000 years ago, and I was there. Um, uh, my notes say it's definitely mid '80s, but in a good way. So you've got minimalist grooves. It's very bass guitar forward.
Hmm.
Uh, the classical unhurried rhythms. Um, Hats off to Paul Denman on bass again, and great keyboards by Andrew Hale.
Oh,
Um,
bloody hell, right. Holy shit.
I'm
It's just
I'm not
wonderful.
wild, and this is the 5,000th time I've said this on the channel. I'm not wild about saxophone, or at least a lot of saxophone, but it fits. It's it's just integral to this sound,
Yeah.
and it's not. I don't know. It's not overdone. It's the style fits very, very well within. It serves the music wonderfully.
Hmm.
However, I probably wouldn't listen to the first three albums on repeat because that would probably wear me down a little bit with all that saxophone. A little bit too much saxophone. Um, uh, but
Okay.
anyway, Smooth Operator is just um, a perfect album opener.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chances are that's the first song that anybody ever heard off the radio. So if
Sure.
that made them want to buy an album, they want to hear that song. Well, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that was my gateway. Absolutely. It's like, dang, I'm
sure,
buying that
sure,
album. That sounds
Okay.
great.
yeah.
Well,
I
that was
mean,
the
I mean,
that was the jam back then, right? That
yeah,
was the
and
jam.
actually the first three songs, it's a killer trilogy to
One,
Yeah.
two,
open
three.
an
Yep.
album with.
Yep.
1, 2, 3 punch.
Um,
Yeah.
but Yeah, and gonna add in when I'm going to make a living. When am I going to make a living? And I will be your friend. Um, I mean,
Yeah.
that's not poo-pooing, Frankie or Cherry Pie or Sally on the other tracks. I did find the closing track a little bit surprising. The song "Why Can't We Live Together?" It's a cover of an
Yep.
old Timmy Thomas uh, song. And this song has been covered a lot. To me, um, probably my favorite cover of this was done by Steve Winwood,
Huh.
logically so. This cover is really pretty good, although it's stylistically what they're doing on instrumentally not quite as good as some of the other covers, but at the same time they were trying. They weren't just repeating what was on the original album, so
Right.
credit where credit is due. But of course, um, Sade's vocals is just spot on, and it's great that they found a cover that fits right in with their theme at the time.
The vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, the vibe. Even though the "Why Can't We Live Together" is really more of a social statement,
Right.
maybe an anti-war song. I'm not sure,
Hmm.
but it's easy to see how it could be interpreted into the um, interpersonal um, viewpoint.
Okay.
Works. Multi-layered. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of lovers and stuff. But anyway, Yeah, it's higher in my ranking than you guys, but I can't disregard the nostalgia factor for it.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I don't go and I don't listen to it very often. But when I'm in the mood, yeah, I'll go to this. I was
okay.
there
Okay. Thank you for
fighting
that.
off dinosaurs. I was there.
Hmm. Yeah. With your club.
When the
with my
strength of men failed.
Yeah. With your club yelling, ugh.
dra-
Okay.
dragging my
Okay.
woman by her hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving on. Okay. Jim, you're number two.
My number two, before getting into number two, I just want to throw out there. I think I alluded to this before, but the one time I saw Sade was in 1986, and they opened the show with "Why Can't We Live Together," and got that just great little organ kind of beatbox intro, and Andrew Hale's just laying those thick chords on there, and Denman's throwing down that bass, and Sade comes kind of slinking and bopping out on the stage, and just man, it was a hell of an opener. Still living rent free in my head. Fantastic, fantastic show and opener right there. So
Hmm.
big props to that. But on to my number two, which is Stronger Than Pride from 1988. Uh, this is almost a perfect record to me. Almost a perfect record. Um, I'm gonna and I alluded to this earlier, but I'm gonna say that this might be the record where they bowed to label pressure to throw out more product out there. And I say that because of two tracks on here, Turn My Back on You and the closing instrumental Siempre Hay Esperanza. Uh, they're both good. They're both, good tracks,
Hmm.
but they on an album that's already fairly short, they just kind of seem like filler. It seemed like they came up with, a groove and, a hint of a melody line and just kind of ran with it. Now, having said that, like I said, the rest of this album is just chock full of 9 out of 10 songs. It's just absolutely fantastic. The title track, Paradise, Nothing Come Between Us, Haunt Me, uh, Clean Heart, Give It Up. I mean, 9, 10, 10, 9. I mean, it's just all over the place with absolutely fantastic tunes. But I think it's just those two tracks that I talked about in the beginning that kind of keep it from a top spot. I listened to Stronger Than Pride fairly incessantly when it came out, but I would find myself skipping those tunes just because it's like, okay, I get it, been there, done that. There wasn't
Got the
enough,
book.
yeah, there wasn't enough new to it that kind of kept me sort of going back and getting more goodness from those tracks. But yeah, Stronger Than Pride is a hell of an album. I highly recommend it. And if it weren't for one more, it might have been my number one.
Okay. Thank you very much. Before I give my number two, I just wanted to add something in. When Sade put the call out to the band members that she wanted to, it was time to get back together and work on another album. I believe it was the bass player Paul Denman who said that they really had to think about getting back together again. Could they come together again? Could because a lot of time had passed, and from what I read, there was a lot of crap that went on between them. So he said he was thinking, could we come together and reform as the band and come up with the goods that would, that would sort of wipe out the years that we weren't together. And they really, in between album releases, they really had to think about it. For me, they delivered. They delivered. I mean, there's not a bad album on this bloody list whatsoever. I mean, like it's an amazing discography, short but impactful. I really have to say that. My number two, ladies and gentlemen, as I yammer on here, Love Deluxe. Released October 28th, 26, sorry, 1992. Um, what the hell should I say here? Oh my God, No Ordinary Love. Like, come on. Great rhythm guitar on that. Feel No Pain. I Couldn't Love You More. Like a Tattoo. Hello, uh, gorgeous. And my notes heavy for Like a Tattoo. Gorgeous overlapping acoustic guitars. A drapery of synths. Yes, a drapery of synths on that piece. Other songs of note. Kiss of Life. Cherish the Day. Pearls. Like, oh my God, Bulletproof Soul. Like, hello. Like, come on. I mean, it's like, it's like, Jesus, my God, and as I go through my notes here, scrolling through the notes, the album ends off with Mermaid, a beautiful, eloquent instrumental, like, my God, really, in my notes, dreamy, great synthesizer, very atmospheric, you know, great subtle guitar use on this piece. It's literally like when I heard this, I'm like, what the hell am I listening to here? How could this album have gone like obviously I knew it existed, but how could it have gone under my radar or and not listen to it before like or give it that much attention until now? I was like, Jesus Christ. It's almost when you hear Mermaid, it's almost like you're being submerged into water and you're going on a sea adventure kind of thing. It's wonderfully done. It's wonderful. I highly recommend, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard the album, please listen to it. You will not be disappointed. It is a musical journey. It really and truly is. That's my number two of deluxe.
So I want to point out that we're going to enter into the boring part of the show.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The boring part of the show. How
The
could we
boring
top
part of the show.
how could we top that, right? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Well, I think it's going to be the next few minutes are going to be one of epic redundancy of just how awesome the number one is. Because if I'm not mistaken, if I've done my math right, we all have the same number one.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
And we've talked about it before on another video.
in
So,
another episode.
yeah.
Can do
We
the
have.
honors. Do the honors.
Do it.
Hey, number one, Promise, 1985, their
Oh,
sophomore
sweet
album.
Jesus.
Uh,
Sweet Jesus.
this and for me, even though Smooth Operator was such a great opener for Diamond Life, um, is it a crime? Uh, it's just
Oh.
it reminds
Mm.
me a lot.
Mm.
Jim, refresh my memory. What's the Billy Joel? Something about Mulberry Street. What's
Oh,
the name?
Big Man on Mulberry Street.
Big
Big
Man
man
on
on
Mulberry.
Mulberry Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
This, I mean, it brings in the horns. You
Mm.
know,
Yep.
it goes from that big band sound and then brings it right down. I mean, you talk, variance and dynamics is just so
Yeah.
well done here.
Yeah.
And this piano break, there's not a lot of instrumental breaks on Sade songs, but this piano break in this song is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's simple,
Yeah.
it's uh melodic. It's just really does stand out. Just jumped up and kind of ooh, slapped me upside the face. Um,
Incredibly jazzy.
incredibly
Oh,
jazzy. This is they bring in start bringing in guitar on this album. It's not in your face, but that's okay. Um, it's very subtle, but very
subtle.
effective. Yeah, and it's interesting, even though it has that broader, bigger sound in the opening track, um, yet overall, the album is more spacious than Diamond Life is.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Jim, this might touch on what you're talking about, that the production seemed a little bit not quite there on Diamond Life. I don't remember how you worded it, but that's
Yeah.
what I took from it. That they really got a good taste of what they wanted to do in the studio and how to do it. This takes the first album and takes it to a logical and, for me, very successful next level. Um, Sweetest Taboo for me
Mm-hmm.
is equally as iconic as Smooth Operator, or those first three tracks on Diamond Life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely iconic. Uh, Going into the third track, War of the Hearts. Oh my gosh, that organ um, part is very simple, but holy cow, it's really effective. Um,
Yeah.
um, uh, so, and an incredible, even more than normal. The chord progression is very jazzy.
Mm-hmm.
Is even more than a lot of the other stuff. You're Not the Man, Jezebel, Mr. Wrong is another really great track. Never as Good as the First Time. Tar
Yeah.
Baby, wow. Um, and I've been trying to, I've it's been haunting my brain. That bass riff in Tar Baby reminds me of another song by another artist of about that time. I can't pick it out. If you guys can help me with that, or any of our viewers can put it down in the
Yeah.
comments, really would appreciate it.
Let us
It's
know. Yeah.
very similar to another song right about that time in the 80s. I just can't put my finger on it. And the wonderful closer of Maureen,
Mm-hmm.
it's just yeah, it's just it's a killer album. It's my number one.
Yeah. Okay. Jim, your take on Promise?
Yes, what Ken said plus a lot. Like I was saying, when I saw the Sade tour, the I know that Leroy Osborne,
That's
who
what,
we talked
sorry.
about for
Thank you. Thank you for that. Leroy
Stronger Than
Osborne.
Pride, he was on the tour. Martin Ditcham was an extra guy on percussion. There might have been an extra brass player here and there, but I don't recall offhand. The memory fades as far as that part. But anyway, back to Promise. Yeah, one of the things that sticks in my mind again from that Sade show from the Promise tour was when they did "Is It a Crime?" When she hit that last note, and it just kind of wafted, and
Off the, yeah.
it the whole place went ape. And that was after just listening for every last scintilla of vocal power that would come from her voice. It was just fantastic, just a fantastic moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, Promise is taking the promises, sorry, of Diamond Life and just like
Jesus Christ.
fully achieving it in terms of the compositions, the performances, the production. This is like the richest, most fullest, deepest red wine you could drink, or like the greatest cup of coffee you've ever had in your life. This is just such a fantastic album that is rich, layered, colorful, surprising. Every time you go back, I get something new out of it. It is just absolutely a stunning album. It may be, if I'm thinking about like greatest sophomore albums from a band, I think I would put Promise right up there with like Regatta de Blanc as like high mark achievements in terms of, you know, the first album showed promise, but the second album, boom, clearly these guys were just on their way up and
Yeah.
ascendant.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'd again copy and paste what Ken said and add some in there. I just think it was a no-brainer to me that Promise was going to be my number one. And I was looking for other things to like maybe could push it up, but yeah, Promise is like a 9.5 out of 10. The other thing that I'll mention is that when it was originally released on vinyl, um, and I think the CD shipped the same time as the vinyl. I don't recall. Um, but War of the Hearts and Punch Drunk were not on the original vinyl. Otherwise, it would have been, like buying a Genesis album where you're squeezing like 54 minutes or 56 minutes onto a slab of vinyl. Um,
Okay, because I have on my notes, "You're Not the Man" and "Punch Drunk" were not included on the album.
you know what? You're right. You're right. My bad.
He made a boo-boo. Okay, there we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Okay,
My fallibility is on display for all to see so often.
there you go. There you go. There you go. No, that's fine. That's fine.
Promise,
Thank.
easy, easy number one.
Yeah, I'm gonna complete the triangle here. Promise is my number one. This is why I refer to this catalog as Casablanca and Technicolor because oh my God. I mean, to start off with, like, is it a crime? It's like you can just picture the scene in Casablanca when he walks in and then Humphrey Bogart walks in into the club or the bar and he sees it for the first time and he's like, oh shit, and he's just drawn to her, and Ingmar Bergman, and it's like, oh my God, there's a seduction to that song vocally. It's just it entices you, it pulls you in, and she's saying subliminally, "Am I going to hurt you? Wait and see." And it's just like there's a lot of drama in that one song, and in terms of the peaks and valleys, it comes to an end and stops, and then it comes down again. It just builds and builds, and again, peaks and valleys. It is, and within that one track, and I mean, the entire
Yep.
album is good. War of the Hearts, You're Not the Man, oh my God, Jezebel, Mr. Wrong, Punch Drunk, the instrumental, Hello. I mean, I need a cigarette. Right now, I swear, just thinking about it, it is that good. You know, um, Other songs of note, never as good as the first time. At 5 minutes even. Oh my God. I mean, just the work on this album, it is just so perfect. It's perfection. It is perfection. You mentioned Regard de Blanc. I'm thinking songs from the big chair. This is their songs from
Another
the
one.
big chair.
Yeah.
Songs from the big chair, in my very humble opinion. I would not skip one track on this album. I'd sit there with a drink or a coffee and sit back, close my eyes, and go for the ride. Okay? It is that good. It is that good. And I'm stunned. I'm stunned at how meticulous the instrumentation is, how perfect the arrangements are. Uh, You're being seduced when you hear this album, but you know what? You don't care. Take my money, please. Here we go. You know, just give me back my wallet. I mean, if it's with my cards in it. But it's like it is that good. It is that good. I couldn't appreciate it at the time when it came out as a 15-year-old. I mean, I knew of it. Um, But even the look on the cover, that kind of like sideways glance that she looks at the camera, that angled glance. And she's like, again, she's saying, "Am I gonna hurt you? Wait and find out." And it's like, oh, Jesus, Murphy. That Promise is my number one. Obviously, it had to have been. Again, I knew
Yep.
it. I knew it was going to be my number one when we agreed to do this. I'm like, okay, this is it, hands down. It had to have been.
Ken, was there ever a question for you what the number one was going to be?
No, not really.
Okay.
But I try to go through all the albums objectively. It would have been okay if something else had beat it, but No surprise. Yeah.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Ranking the albums of Sade, or as I
Looking
like
for
to.
another one. Come on, guys.
There you go.
Get the band back together.
It's been long enough. It's been long enough. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining us for this episode. Please put down in the comments below your ranking of the albums of Sade. Okay? And again, no right or wrong answers, just opinion. We want to get a dialogue going on these episodes that we're doing. We've got more shows that we're working on, and we're going to bring them to you as soon as we can. And I'm going to advertise this right now. Bill Schuster is coming back on the channel, and
You don't say.
yes, and we are going to
Good.
be tackling ranking the albums of Rush. I do believe you've heard of them. 19 albums in total. It's going to be a part one and part two episode. And
That's that band with Annika Niles, right?
yeah, yeah, I do believe hearing something about that. That's right.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
yeah, and we're going to be doing that. That's coming up. And before we went to tape, Jim is going to be joining me on a top 10 songs of Rush. So that's coming up. It's going to be part of a, I guess you call it a Rush times three episode, a set of episodes coming up for March. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm already working on the list in my head for top 10 singles. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we do enjoy doing these episodes for you, and we hope you do enjoy them because we have a hell of a time putting them together. And as you can tell, we kid each other quite a bit, you know. But again, we want to thank you for your support of the channel. Coming up on 3 years that I've been doing this channel. So you know what? It's been wonderful. It's been difficult. It's been challenging, but you know something? It's been worth it. It's been worth it to me. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we got coming up. Again, we're going to get these episodes that we discussed to you as quickly as we possibly can and more for April and beyond. All right? Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon on the Music Den. Bye for now.